They poisoned me. These were Stanley Meyer's last words before he collapsed in a parking lot in 1998. Minutes earlier, he had been showing investors a car that ran on water. His death was ruled to be from natural causes. His invention disappeared forever. But Meyer's story is not unique. What if I told you that over the last century, dozens of world-changing inventions simply vanished? Not because they did not work, but because they worked too well. Today, we are diving into 10 technologies that threatened to change everything, and the mysterious forces that made sure they never would. 1. The water-powered car. In 1998, Stanley Meyer claimed he had cracked the impossible, a car that ran on water, not gasoline. He was not a crackpot. Meyer held multiple patents for a water fuel cell. He demonstrated a modified dune buggy running on nothing but water, filmed driving down highways with only water vapor trailing from the exhaust. His process used electrolytic dissociation to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. Meyer said his version used so little electricity that it defied the laws of thermodynamics. Energy out exceeded energy in. It seemed impossible, yet there it was, running. NATO scientists reached out. The media covered his demonstrations. Foreign investors, reportedly from the Middle East, tried to buy the technology outright. He refused every offer. Then came that day in Ohio. Meyer was meeting with 2 Belgian investors at a restaurant. Suddenly, he ran outside, clutching his throat, and he collapsed. His brother Stephen heard him gasp that they poisoned him. The autopsy found a cerebral aneurysm. No toxins were detected. No investigation followed. Within days, the prototype car vanished. His workshop was emptied. The patents became public but incomplete, as if key details had been surgically removed. Engineers who tried to replicate his work hit dead ends. Equipment failures, shorted circuits, missing components. To this day, no one has successfully recreated Meyer's water fuel cell. If his invention was real, it would have made all obsolete overnight, and someone made sure it died with him. Number 2. The electric car genocide. In 1996, General Motors launched the EV1, the world's first mass-produced electric car. Sleek, silent, and revolutionary. It had a 100-mile range, 0 emissions, and drivers absolutely loved it. By 2002, General Motors had destroyed every single one. The EV1 was not a failed experiment. It exceeded expectations. Charging stations were built across California and Arizona. Waiting lists grew. People begged to buy them outright. But General Motors refused. The lease agreement never allowed purchases. And when the leases ended, General Motors began hunting down every EV1, even repossessing cars from satisfied customers who offered to pay full price. The cars were taken to a desert lot in Arizona and were systematically crushed. No technical recall, no safety issues, just eliminated. Why did this happen? Internal documents revealed General Motors had lobbied California to roll back zero-emission vehicle mandates. The real problem was that electric cars threatened the entire profit model. No oil changes, fewer repairs, fewer replacement parts. Dealerships hated them. A handful of EV1s survived in museums, gutted and immobile, like trophies of what we almost had. Before Tesla, before Rivian, we had the answer. And corporate America decided we were not ready for it. In 1901, Nikola Tesla began building a massive tower in New York with one goal: to deliver unlimited electricity wirelessly to the entire world. No wires, no power companies, no meters. Free energy for everyone. He called it Wardenclyffe Tower, and it terrified the man funding it, J.P. Morgan. Tesla's plan was not theoretical. He had already proven wireless transmission was possible. But Wardenclyffe aimed to use Earth's natural resonance to broadcast electrical power anywhere on the planet. The tower's copper dome, buried grounding rods, and high-voltage coils were tuned to planetary vibration. Morgan initially backed the project, believing it was for transatlantic communication. But when Tesla revealed his true goal, bypassing the centralized energy industry entirely, everything changed. Morgan famously asked, "Where do we put the meter?" That question killed the dream. Funding stopped. Construction halted in 1905. By 1917, the tower was demolished for scrap. Tesla's notebooks from the Wardenclyffe era vanished after his death. Some were seized by the government. Others were auctioned off or lost forever. Modern engineers who have tried to recreate the design encounter bizarre failures, arcs that should not happen, resonances that vanish mid-test. Tesla hinted the system required specific planetary electromagnetic conditions that may never align again. If Wardenclyffe had succeeded, the world would look completely different. No power grids, no fossil fuels, no energy monopolies. But the tower fell, and with it, humanity's only chance at truly free power. In a California fire station, a single light bulb has been glowing since 1901, over 120 years without burning out. It is called the centennial bulb, and it proves something disturbing. We once knew how to build things that lasted forever, and then chose not to. Manufactured by Shelby Electric Company, the bulb uses hand-blown glass and a carbon-based filament. It burns slowly, efficiently, and endlessly. Other bulbs from that era lasted 60+ years in factories and mines. But in the 1920s, something changed. In 1924, the world's largest light bulb manufacturers, General Electric, Philips, and Osram, formed a secret alliance called the Phoebus Cartel. Their goal was not to improve bulbs, but to limit their lifespan to exactly 1,000 hours. This was planned obsolescence in its purest form. Engineers who designed longer-lasting bulbs were reprimanded. Formulas were deliberately altered. Why? Because people buying bulbs every few months was more profitable than selling one that lasted a lifetime. The centennial bulb still glows today. It even has a live webcam. But attempts to recreate its design have failed, not because the materials are rare, but because they do not fit modern business models built on replacement and waste. We did not forget how to make eternal light bulbs. We buried the knowledge. In the early 1990s, a team of ex-Soviet engineers in Poland developed a device that could completely purify air, removing toxic chemicals, viruses, and microscopic pollutants down to the atomic level. It used cold plasma filtration combined with electrostatic fields that did not just capture contaminants, it deconstructed them at a molecular level. No filters, almost no power, and it worked. Tests were staggering. It cleared formaldehyde and benzene in 11 minutes. It reduced industrial pollution by 98.6% within an hour. Environmental officials called it the most disruptive technology of the decade. Then, within weeks, the project was shut down. They said it was bureaucratic complications and patent issues. But behind the scenes, the team reported hostile encounters. Their lead engineer was interrogated at customs. Shipment crates vanished. Funding contracts were revoked. By 1994, the company was closed. The team scattered across Europe. Years later, one member, speaking anonymously, claimed a corporate syndicate with ties to heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and chemical manufacturers bought out the remaining shares and buried the project. No working prototype exists today. Attempts to recreate it using surviving schematics fail. Key elements are missing. Some materials used in the original build were restricted after 1995 under dual-use export laws. We live in a world choking on smog and respiratory diseases, yet a machine that could have cleaned the air completely was erased. Who decided we were not allowed to breathe clean air? Number 6. The vacuum energy engine. In 1983, a Toronto engineer named Troy Hurtubise built a shoebox-sized engine that ran indefinitely, without fuel, electricity, or combustion. He called it the Angel Light Engine, claiming it tapped into vacuum energy, the same force believed to exist in deep space. When activated, it hummed softly and powered a flywheel continuously. Hurtubise had no corporate backing, no university support, just an obsession with magnetic fields and an unorthodox understanding of physics. He built it from military surplus parts and discarded MRI machines. When he demonstrated it to journalists and engineers, the impossible happened. It turned on and did not stop. Witnesses reported it generated enough torque to drive mechanical systems. Shortly after going public, men in suits visited Hurtubise. They questioned him about his materials, his intentions, whether he planned to sell or patent the device. A week later, his workshop burned to the ground. Officials ruled it an electrical fire, despite the building having no grid connection. Hurtubise tried to rebuild but faced constant surveillance, vandalism and interference. He retreated from public view, working on other projects but never discussing the vacuum engine again. In 2018, he died in a mysterious single-vehicle accident. The vacuum engine was never formally analyzed, but its memory endures. If vacuum energy is real and someone learned to harness it, what would happen to every industry built on scarcity? What happens when energy becomes free? 7th, the 50-year battery. In 1973, aerospace engineer Carl Kordesh unveiled a battery that could run for 50 years without replacement or recharge. It merged alkaline and hydrogen fuel cell technology into a self-regenerating power source. Lightweight, efficient, and capable of functioning in extreme temperatures. Perfect for electronics, transportation, even space travel. When he presented it to manufacturers, one executive reportedly said, "This battery would last longer than any of our products. That's not sustainable for us." No deals were signed. The design was shelved. Documents from Kordesh's archive show he pitched the technology to multiple governments and corporations. Every meeting ended the same: interest, then silence. In 1982, a startup tried to relaunch it under the slogan "Power for Life." Within 6 months, the company collapsed. The remaining prototypes were confiscated during a regulatory inspection and never returned. Today, we are stuck in cycles of planned obsolescence: phones, electric vehicles, power tools that need constant recharging or replacement, mountains of e-waste, toxic mining, profit margins built on failure. What if that cycle was never necessary? What if we already invented the perfect battery and buried it because perfection was too dangerous to sell? 8. The magnetic motor. In 1979, physicist Howard Johnson patented something the scientific community called impossible: a motor powered solely by permanent magnets. No fuel, no electricity, just magnetic fields creating perpetual motion. In 1980, the United States Patent Office granted patent number 4,151,431. Johnson's design used precisely arranged curved magnets that created cascading rotational force. He demonstrated it to journalists and investors. Some believed, others insisted it violated the second law of thermodynamics. But Johnson maintained he was not creating energy. He was releasing potential energy already stored in magnetic fields. As interest grew, Johnson faced legal challenges and sudden withdrawals from interested companies. One collaborator said offers were made to purchase and bury the patent in exchange for silence. Johnson refused. By the late 1980s, he was out of funding. His health declined. In one of his last recorded statements, he said, "They did not have to disprove me. They just had to outlast me." He died in 2008. His motor was never built commercially. To this day, magnetic motors remain taboo in science, labeled pseudoscience despite the official patent. Did his motor break the laws of physics, or did it break something more sacred, the laws of profit? 9. The trash-to-fuel converter. In 2003, Brazilian engineers developed a shipping container-sized machine that converted household garbage into high-grade gasoline. No smoke, no emissions, just garbage in, fuel out. Using thermal depolymerization and proprietary catalysts, the system broke down organic and synthetic materials at a molecular level: plastic, food waste, old shoes, reassembling carbon chains into clean liquid fuel with 80% efficiency. They called it Project Gaia. Demonstrations were stunning. One test powered a diesel generator for 48 hours using nothing but urban garbage. Then, within 2 months of national media coverage, the facility was raided. Permits were suspended. Machinery was confiscated. No arrests, no charges, no explanation. The engineers vanished from public life. A Freedom of Information request years later uncovered internal memos between government agencies and energy firms warning of disruptive fuel synthesis devices posing threats to existing infrastructure. Today, landfills overflow and energy prices soar. Yet few remember the Brazilian machine that solved both problems. What if trash could be gold? And someone decided the world was not ready for that kind of alchemy? 10. The Illness Prediction Scanner. In 2009, Swiss biomedical engineers developed a shoebox-sized device that could detect disease months before symptoms appeared. The neuroscope scanned electromagnetic fields and mapped biofrequency signatures, comparing them to disease markers. In trials, it identified malignant growths weeks before imaging could. It flagged early-stage Parkinson's and Alzheimer's based on subtle neural resonance shifts. Hospitals in Switzerland and Germany requested pilot units. The World Health Organization took notice. Then a pharmaceutical executive asked, "If this works, why would anyone need routine screenings?" Weeks later, the company's research license was suspended, servers seized, the lead engineer deported, all manufacturing contracts voided. The neuroscope vanished before reaching the market. The technology rights were acquired by a shell corporation and remain inactive. What if a machine could detect illness before it happened and the healthcare industry decided you couldn't have it? 10 inventions, 10 erasures, 10 futures we will never see. These were not failed experiments or crackpot schemes. They were working technologies, dismantled not by the laws of nature, but by the hands of men who saw too far, built too well, and threatened to shift power from the few to the many. From Nikola Tesla's wireless power to Brazil's trash fuel converter, these innovations were not evaluated by their potential to help humanity. They were judged by the danger they posed to established hierarchies. The destruction came quietly, through seized patents, revoked funding, mysterious fires, vanished labs, lives ended in obscurity. What was lost is not just machinery. It is the future itself. A future where light bulbs did not need replacing, where engines ran on water, where pollution vanished, where disease could be seen before it struck. The tragedy is not that these technologies failed. The tragedy is that they worked, and that was the problem. The erasure continues. Whistleblowers disappear. Alternative engineers are smeared. Patents are bought, buried, forgotten. These 10 cases may be only fragments of a much deeper story, the visible tips of inventions buried behind closed doors, inside locked vaults, and beneath silence. So ask yourself, what else have we lost? What else have we been told is impossible, simply because it is too dangerous to allow? And more importantly, what happens when the next world-changing invention appears? Will we finally let it change the world, or will it too disappear?